The ultimate aim of them is to shut out all others out of the victim, away from the victim, so they have complete access to him without interference. See what's happening here in the U.S. People go to work, they work hard, they come home tired, they're exhausted, they have a house, they have kids, they got maintenance to do, they got shopping to do. They get home, they turn on the news, they eat dinner, turn on the news, they get brainwashed, turn it off, and go back to bed. And that's exactly where the deep state wants to keep them. They don't want them listening to alternative, and they don't have time to listen to other media and do the research. They're just being brainwashed over and over and over again. And I got friends like that. You can't bring this stuff up because they go nuts.
Society has become so dumbed down. There's so much fluoride, so many toxins, neurotoxins, so many ways in which we have lost our way. And the drug of TV, the drug of being constantly propagandized with the false information of absolutely everything. Yeah. Once you start scratching the surface of what's going on, I mean, you realize that absolutely everything you think is true is false.
Yeah, nuts. I mean, for the first time, it's starting to be exposed, and they don't like it. They do not like it, and they're getting violent about it. Yeah. I've never trusted authority. So I always had my eye on them. I never fully trusted them. And then when I saw stuff, there it is. Once you get the notion that they're untrustworthy, as more people are starting to see now, then you start seeing more and bullcrap that they've been running over your face.
9/11 for me, that kind of really jumped to me. But then I still wasn't completely sure what happened, and I kind of let it go for a few years. But then I realized, I really don't.
No, they brought it down
into all the other things like Kennedy assassination, and there was others like Oklahoma bombing, and there was other things, all these false flags, and again fear. And before that, it was the Russians were coming to get you.
Yeah.
Always this kind of
always fear mongering, constantly fear mongering, and that's what the voices do.
Yeah.
So
it's a combination of both. The government kind of pushing the fear, and then these voices kind of hitting vulnerable people as well, and getting a double dose of fear.
Yeah.
You can look at what's behind the government structure, though.
So one of the things they do, and the voices and the mainstream media, is they demand the victim's attention. They won't just leave you alone. They demand your attention. So everywhere you go, everywhere you look, on the advertisement, the street signs, the television, the radio, I mean, they're constantly demanding your attention and working it, toward fear and anxiety and brainwashing you. So with schizophrenics, if you can break that attention, you notice that usually schizophrenics don't hear foreign voices because they can't understand. So if they can't understand, the voices can't do anything to them. And I think we did an interview with George, right, Brian, where he said, what I do is I break the attention. So as soon as they start talking, he starts making up nonsense syllables to block them out, so they can't get their messages through. So what we need to do is turn off those television sets and turn off the radios and break away from it.
It's this is all around us. So it's not just TV now; it's everywhere. And even when you go online, you're like, you're getting all these things coming up. Oh, COVID. Man, it's hard work. But it's all bullshit.
Just how duped and sad the captivation of the human consciousness has been, in these last 18 months.
Well, that goes right in with number 10. They maneuver for increased control over their victims. It's steadily battle for increasing control over the victim's mind and actions. That's what the schizophrenic voices do, and that's what the mainstream media and deep state are doing. There's a one-to-one correspondence between the psychotic voices and what the mainstream media and the deep state are doing to us right now. They're insane. They are insane. They're exactly the same as these voices. And that number 12 was manipulating perception. It said the voices are capable of causing their victims to interpret situations and information coming in from the environment wrongly to increase negative emotion. For instance, a schizophrenic may see a police car drive by their house. All of a sudden, the voices jump in and tell them, hey, the police are searching for you. They're coming to get you. And then they actually fabricate a crime that they were supposed to have committed, but they don't trust their memory enough to say, no, I didn't do that. So it's like a catch-22. So they manipulate the perception, and that's exactly what the deep state is doing now. They're manipulating our perception.
That's right.
And Jerry, to go back to 11, which you've got down as gaslighting, what we've got at the moment is, I was listening to an interview with 5 doctors yesterday, a guy called Dr. Francis Christian from Canada. He has been released from his academic role as a doctor because he's telling students the truth, and they said to him that they thought that he had some sort of mental health issue, and that they're prepared to lend him all kinds of support, anything he needs to help him through this difficult time, but until then his role is suspended. So what you've got is people telling the truth and being called nuts.
Well, that's what's so dangerous about psychiatrists. In World War II, it was the psychiatrists who were picking out the retarded people, the mentally defective, so the Nazis can exterminate them. It was the psychiatrists who went into NATO in the 1950s and said, we want to be part of the New World Order, and this is the part we want to play. These people are what they're doing is an outrage. It's a sacrilege to the human race.
The Earth is on the verge of collapsing, burning up, or whatever the hell they're talking about. And again, when you look at what they say, there's absolutely nothing, no evidence whatsoever for what they're saying. Nothing. But they're again pushing this fear. And people are now saying, they're telling now married couples who just got recently married don't have children because that's climate change, and they're now killing all the farm animals, the cattle, the pigs, and everything because they fart too much, so we got to stop that. And people are buying into this. And what the hell?
Over here, they're letting complete truckloads of food just rot, spoil, to create a food shortage, to spark panic. I mean, this is the same entity that is active in schizophrenics that is active in the deep state. It's the same entity, the same dark entity.
And it's when this first started, I don't know if anyone else could concur, in March 2020, that I was going to bed at night, and I wasn't afraid of the virus. I couldn't give a monkeys about the virus because I knew what was unfolding. But I was very, very scared about what they were going to do. But I would go to bed at night, and my whole body was shaking. And I think the collective fear that they managed to whip up in that just few short weeks prior to the lockdowns in March 2020, the collective fear, they must have been feasting off it. They must have been so emboldened by it.
You're right, absolutely.
Well, it's the same thing in prisons. I mean, it's a hog's trough for these negative entities in prisons. It's a totally negative environment, fearful environment, anxiety prone. I mean, they're just feasting. And after holding these people under those circumstances, they're already unstable when they go in there. After years of treatment like this, they kick them out on the street and said, okay, you're free. They turn them loose on society, and they're in much worse shape than they ever went in. I've seen them release people I knew would kill somebody within the next few months, and they let him out because he had served his term. They gave $50 and walked him out the door with 2 weeks worth of medication. Well, then the only way they could survive is by stealing and robbing and manipulating, and then they throw them back in prison again. So the prison is now the new state hospitals here in the United States. They did the same thing in the 80s here. They closed down all the state hospitals, assigned them to the mental health centers. Now, they wouldn't take their medicines to start with, so what makes them think they're going to go through the trouble of arranging transportation when they're poor to a distant mental health center and then take those medications on top of it? It was a system that was designed to fail. Well, people are starting to wake up, though.
Yeah, I say they haven't got all.
No, they don't. And more are waking up every day. So people need to stand up and do something. They can't just sit there. And then if Trump gets back in, he's promised to expose 9/11 and the rest of it. So
he did promise that the first time, though.
He did.
It's,
yeah, and it didn't happen. I know the whole Trump thing. I was disappointed with the guy. I thought, yeah, maybe he could do something, but then, after.
well, if he did do something, what they would do is accuse him of being a sore loser, and they go, yeah, you.
I think he just didn't have. He said he wanted to drain the swamp.
Well, he has. There's thousands of them have been arrested. Guantanamo Bay is full.
Allegedly, I'd like to see evidence of that. But
Just watch the flights. Watch the flights going down there. They've got airliners going down there now.
All right, okay.
The flights to Guantanamo have increased 90%.
So what's going on there? There's a battle there between the Biden team and the Trump team. Is that what you're saying? Or what's happening?
Well, yeah. Biden he's the president of the bankrupt United States Corporation. And this was a maneuver done in the 1800s where the Constitution of the United States was changed, and the Vatican took over.
The 14th Amendment, was it?
They might have been. They changed one of the amendments, didn't let anybody know about it.
That's
so
important.
Biden he's a puppet. He's a brain dead puppet. The military is in control of this country right now because the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, the Supreme Court, they're all corrupted. Every single one is corrupted. They have more than enough proof of it. So there's a lot of arrests that have taken place, mostly of child molesters and child traffickers, which are these politicians. But now they're moving up the line. So they're saying that he may be back in August. I don't know. Everything is so tight-lipped with the military. So what you have is all these alternative media guys watching every single move that anybody makes and then piecing together the likelihood of certain things happening based on these pieces that are leaking out. But it looks like the crap is going to hit the fan here very shortly.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many holes in the story. You've got more holes than a flipping lace doily, isn't there? I mean, it's just crazy how they can keep this narrative going. There's just too many holes in it.
Yeah, and people are still believing it.
Yeah, when I look at him on DeSantis there in Florida, right, and he says, oh, you can open up, there's no mask mandates and none of this stuff and whatever. But then he's going full bore vaccination. He's even talking about post-vaccination if necessary.
DeSantis is doing that now?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
You hear exactly what's going on, but
I heard today he brought back the mask mandates as well.
right.
No, matter of fact, I heard the opposite. He's made it illegal for them.
We get mixed messages and nobody knows what the hell is going on.
DeSantis is standing up against them. He's not. Everything I'm hearing over here, he's defending their right to choose the vaccinations, and he's defending their right not to wear the masks.
Right, so we get mixed messages then. So let's rock you there and know what's going on, I suppose. But over here, Jenny, as you know, Bojo Johnson there, he's going full steam ahead. And all these.
He turned around real quick, didn't he?
Yeah. He got his Brexit, and he was he kind of said, oh, look at me, I got your Brexit, aren't I great, fantastic, and all the rest of it. And now within months, wasn't it? Because it was only a few months after that, Jenny, wasn't it? When the whole mandate came in or something, wasn't it? And all that.
Well, after the European Union thing, you mean?
Yeah, the Brexit thing. He got the general election, which was really about Brexit, wasn't it? And
apparently so. What I found fascinating about last year was that they did this ceremonial handing Britain back to its own country at the end of January, and within a week we were into the whole coronavirus thing. So it was almost like they had to symbolically end that so that we could turn our attention away from the Brexit and over to the coronavirus. Do you know what I mean? Because mask mandates didn't come in the UK till 24th July, so that was months into the coronavirus. In high summer, when there's no such thing as a virus, and everyone's getting vitamin D on their skin, and there's no such thing. So I just quickly googled Ron DeSantis about Florida, and it says the state could defund the salaries of district superintendents and county school board members who mandate mask wearing in schools. Ah, you're right.
No, he's standing up to Biden. He's telling Biden, screw you. You can't make us do anything. Here in Arizona, they sent the DOJ, the Department of Justice cops over here to try to upset the audit. And the head of the Senate said, yeah, go ahead and send them. You can bail them out of one of our prisons. So the states are now finding out what has happened, and they're shocked, and they're even running audits on states that Trump has won to show that this has been a national scam. And if they did this to us, they certainly did it to you. Your votes are counting for nothing, and you have no way. Your Constitution doesn't allow you to do what we're doing, is to fall back and dissolve the government if it no longer serves the people.
Yeah.
And that's what our Constitution allows to do, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're going after these buzzards.
Yeah, did you hear about the guy up in Alberta who challenged? And he
demanded, show me this virus. Show me this virus.
Yeah. Like, show me the money. Show me the virus. Yeah,
and I've heard that for a long time. They have not isolated the virus. They just keep running these renditions of this machine, and if they run it long enough, they're going to find some. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
It's a scam. It's a massive scam, and there's going to be a lot of people, I think, get sick from this.
Yeah.
Well, there are. I mean, anecdotally, a few months ago, it was actually in the middle of the last lockdown in our winter. We had a paramedic in one of our sessions. We did some sound healing sessions, and we said to her, what are you picking up at the moment? She said, well, overwhelmingly it's suicide. And we said to her, no coronavirus. She said, no. So,
yeah, it's amazing the number of politicians over here that all of a sudden are suiciding themselves. And potential witnesses. I mean, there were three of those White House guards at the rally. 3 of them suicided themselves in the period of a few weeks. So they don't want anybody out there telling the truth. That they let these guys in. They actually let them into the White House, opened up the gates, and that there was FBI behind that were steering them in there. The FBI and the CIA are behind all of this.
Yeah.
Do just going back to your list, Jerry, on point 14, that these voices demand the victim not tell others about their presence. We're talking about censorship. They demand that nobody knows about their presence. And this is what censorship is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They take down all these channels off of YouTube and the internet. It's so they make it look like they're not doing anything. And they don't want anybody talking about them either. And anybody who talks about them gets knocked out too.
Can I ask you both? We're kind of going to wind up things up. We're up to 2 hours. It was a fascinating conversation. But during this last 2 years, have you seen any increase in schizophrenia, what we call schizophrenia, in the last 2 years?
Well, yeah, I got some statistics on that. Somewhere.
I haven't, Brian. I can't say I have.
Yeah.
I haven't
I haven't seen it myself, but I've just seen this brain dead from people, which I don't know whether that's the same thing or not. I don't know.
I do wonder whether that's a shock, to be honest. I really do.
It could be the shock, yeah, that they don't know what's going on, because when you think about it, since the end of World War II, really, into the 50s, it's always been a kind of, particularly in the Western world, it's all been very peaceful. Everyone's done well for themselves. Obviously people do fall by the wayside, but generally for most people, they've done pretty well. They get a job and they get married, get settled down, and all the rest of it. And life is pretty good, and you can trust the government and blah blah blah. And the media's going to tell you the truth. And maybe they just realise that something's not quite right here, but they can't get over that this could happen. And they think, well, well, I'll just go along with it anyway because everyone else doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's very sad because like very intelligent people, very, very intelligent friends of mine who I can't talk to because I've got nothing to say. I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. I've had to, not say ditch friends, but I have to kind of distance myself from them because they're talking bullshit and I'm not interested in what they have to say anymore. I says, can you not see what's going on? They want to kill you. Can you not see that?
Yeah,
same here.
Are they saying the same about us? I mean, I'm so divorced from that world. I mean, I'm very fortunate in that everyone I meet with is wide awake. I don't have to go into that crazy matrix world anymore. But I do wonder what they're saying about us. Are they saying the same? They
yeah, probably the same about us. Yeah, but then it's kind of like that group, that herd mentality. But well, yeah. See that Jenny there and Jerry and Brian there. They're all lunatics. Some people listen to what they say. And then you'll have the TV screen there going, these are the people we have to listen to. And I'm thinking, hold on, guys. I mean, look around you. I mean, have you seen people dropping dead in the street all over the place? No. And they just can't get it. It is frustrating, but then I have to pull back and go, right, let them on. I've warned people. I've warned about, 10 friends of mine. I warned about getting a jab. I told them, I sent them all the links.
Do not do it.
Well, I did it anyway, but this is before the whole jab agenda started. I said, they're going to push a jab agenda. Watch this space. Of course, it happened. This is what they're going to be putting into it.
Well, they're even paying people. They're paying people $100 to get the jab.
Oh, yeah, there's all these incentives and all that. Free pizzas and beer and whatever the hell you want. You get it.
Yeah, they started a lottery in California. A lottery. A jab lottery. I mean, it's insane what they're doing. It's totally insane.
Yeah. And that's what really kind of just shook me a little bit to see that these people were intelligent, bought into this. But
yeah. What is it going to take to wake them up? What is it going to take?
I think it's going to take pure where their whole livelihoods are taken away, and that's what will happen. We're going to see inflation go right through the roof. I think.
Oh yeah.
Possibly see food shortages. We could see lots of other things happening.
Well, you're going to see the suicide rate increase too because of this isolation with all this COVID crap. That's the worst thing you could do is isolate people like that.
Yeah, suicide rates have rocketed over here. Jenny, I'm just saying the UK, isn't it? It's not talked about. It used to be talked about, like we have to talk about suicide, and we don't talk about it anymore. It's all COVID.
Yeah, sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. I mean, the next phases of this rollout. We've got upcoming lockdowns. We've got children vaccinated. We've got winter viruses, and we know that when the technology has been used in other species, that the minute they're challenged with a virus, they all drop dead. So we've got a horrendous winter coming with the food shortages and everything else. And we need the company of good people, and we need to stay strong, and we need to keep well and get outside as much as possible, keep away from the screens, and
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. We're kind of at the end of the show now, so just final thoughts. Jerry, final thoughts yourself. Where we are now, I would ask you as well. People who are maybe schizophrenic or people who have family members who are schizophrenic, can they come to you and can you help them, or how does that work?
I have a practice. They can go to my website and sign up under consults, and I'll get them in when I can. Right. And it's done under Skype, over Skype, so I can see them face to face. But I'd also recommend they get before contacting me with that is to get our book, An Amazing Journey into the Psychotic Mind, which brings all this out in detail. What a farce psychiatry actually is, and how they behaved in the past, and how they're jabbing little kids with these antipsychotic drugs now, which are destroying their brain. Yeah, there is a cure for schizophrenia. It's not fast, it's not easy, and it takes a lot of work, but we have.
But it's within us all. We're all powerful, and we can do it. We just have to be strong.
Yeah, you have to do the work yourself. Nobody can do it for you.
Nobody can do it. And that's like anything,
Yeah, we can give you the map.
When I was fighting the banks, I had to do it myself. Well, I had friends helping me out. They were there kind of, but when I went into the courtroom, I had to do it on my own, up against the banking system and the legal system, probably the most powerful systems out there. And I stood up and I walked out with my head held high.
Good for you. Good for you.
That's where we're going. Jenny, final thought yourself. And I mean, do you help people out yourself, and how can people reach you?
I'd be happy to see people who are schizophrenic or feel they've got voices. I'm not sure what I can do. I don't have a huge history of helping people with schizophrenia. I can certainly identify and console, etc. My specialty is chronic fatigue and anything to do with the spiritual disturbance of the soul. I'm quite comfortable working with people who feel it's time for them to grow and move on. And they can reach me on openmindtherapy.co.uk, and that's the best site to get me through.
Okay, great, good stuff, guys.
Great.
Yeah, so thank you, Jerry.
Okay,
and Jenny,
thanks for having us.
Great stuff, great conversation. Yeah, we got a very challenging, rocky road ahead. I think everybody here knows that. So we got to get ready. As you said, Jenny, you're growing your own food and getting people. That's one way of doing it. I'm looking at a friend of mine. She's got a little bit of land now. And she's looking at getting like-minded people. We start food there, kind of look after each other, because sometimes maybe we have to be a little bit selfish here. Because if the zombies want to go their way, let them go. But we're going to try and survive here through this.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Again, just a final word on our friend Graham. As I said, he's doing time at the moment. He's in a prison cell in Exeter in the UK. They're trying to get him moved from there to a kind of a low security category C prison, and hopefully get him out on a tag after 9 months, maybe it could be a year. I don't know. But we're working on that at the minute. As soon as I get all the details, where he is, where he's going to be, I'll put it out there, and we get a letter card campaign going, and just flood the place with him and keep it going. Because he'll need that. He will need it. And actually, I should bring that up because Graham has been on 30 years. He's been on antidepressants, painkillers, and sleeping tablets. Not a great mixture there, Jenny or Jerry, is it?
No, not at all.
For 30 years, and he's been trying to get off them, and he's tried all sorts of things, but it kind of didn't. It's very hard to get off these things, And I was on antidepressants once for a year, but I did the cold turkey on it. Man, that was painful. It really was.
Yeah. And their effectiveness is not much higher than sugar pills.
Oh, I know, exactly. It doesn't cheer you up.
Yeah.
This is where I would call that a spiritual disorder, because if you can't stay in your own body and experience your life here right now without the help of drugs and alcohol, then you're not really living. You're not living your life. So I would call that a spiritual disorder, because it's almost like I'm too afraid to just be me. I'm too afraid to really connect with the divine and to really just experience my life on this planet as I am. And it's just about escapism, really, isn't it?
Yeah. They need to get on a positive spiritual path and stay there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So JerryMarzinsky.com. Go there if you want a consultation. It's on there, isn't it, Jerry? There's a
consultation section on there. You just follow the instructions and then the process.